Now, I'll be honest with you. I'm making a risky move here. Because this is a video that recently got a lot of negative attention for certain other reactors reacting to it. And not doing such a good job on reacting to them, I guess. But while all that controversy is happening, all I have to say is, I don't care about any of that. Freaking the densest city on Earth. What is this about? I want to see this. The video looked genuinely interesting just from the like drama videos I've been watching. The actual video made by Neo looked like so incredibly interesting that I actually want to watch it. And I figured, screw it. It's a good excuse for me to farm some freaking clicks. But just by using the name of the video, I guess. So there you go. Congratulations. I'm farming you. Welcome. I know it's interesting here. We have donuts and coffee on Tuesdays, but they typically run out before, because I eat them on the way here. Okay, alright, play the video.
What you're looking at is considered the most densely populated place that ever existed.
Okay.
On an area of just 6.5 acres, or 4 football fields.
Which is quite big, I'll be completely honest with you.
Dozens of individual buildings have merged into one solid organism.
One solid organism. It is a biomechanical machine of pure existence. Wait, what do you mean a solid organism?
It houses shops, restaurants, churches, private homes, and virtual.
Oh, I like stuff like this. This stuff is freaking awesome. I like super cities that are all like in one ginormous building. Not some like Blade Runner, freaking Judge Dredd, freaking future sci-fi stuff. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think of a really good example of something I was watching earlier that had something just like this. Is it Antarctica? Antarctica? That they have like literal like ginormous apartment complexes where you realistically don't ever leave that apartment complex. It's not quite as large as this, but it's like each individual apartment complex would be its own unique society, effectively, because just how cold it is outside. You can't really be just traveling out there or going out to be a part of like the outside world and society and stuff. You can't be, not quite like here in California where you just sort of go walking down the block to get a Red Bull or something from the gas station, you know? Over there, everything is pretty much like everything you might necessarily need is gonna be inside of that apartment.
Literally everything that makes a city. While the outside-facing apartments get to enjoy sunlight, a vast majority are located within this block, full of dark pathways. It is a giant urban maze that attracted all kinds of people with reasons to hide.
Reasons to hide, you say?
This is Kowloon Walled City.
Oh, okay, Kowloon.
To understand just how incredibly closely packed people lived here, let's compare this city with...
Bro, why is this beat hitting so hard, though? It don't gotta go that hard for a freaking documentary, relax!
...other places. Take the East Village in New York City, located in Lower Manhattan. There's a small park in the center, but other than that, it is a pretty...
Is this actually the genuine, like, shape? That's awesome.
...dense neighborhood with historic row houses and more recent large apartment buildings. Based on the 2010 US Census, just over 44,000 people live here. That results in a population density significantly higher than for all of New York City, and New York is the most densely...
43,600... Sorry about that. There we go. 43,600 freaking people per square kilometer?
...populated city.
All those numbers mean things.
In the United States. By all means.
I mean, not to me. I don't have the brain power to, like, quantify them, visually. But they mean stuff. It's a big, impressive number. That's got like 6 digits on it.
This is a dense place. But let's compare it to Kowloon Walled City.
Oh, good, great, wow! It's like more tall, isn't it, I guess? It is. You're not wrong. And ironically, I was about to say, wow, you were not wrong with this is a dense city. Yeah, no, don't duh, right? Freaking title of the video.
87, a survey estimated that 33,000 people live here.
33,000.
The density is simply astounding. And in reality,
1,255,000.
the number might have been even bigger, with some estimates going up to 50,000 people.
But why?
Perhaps
Why
the
are there so many
strangest
people?
thing about Kowloon Walled City, however, is just how abruptly it ends. While everything is crammed into this tight block of buildings, behind the sharp
Not only that, but like, what is this over here? What are those buildings and all that? And this?
walls of the city, there are relatively spaced out buildings, and even a park with sports fields. So why was everything crammed into this small block?
That's a good question. I found myself asking the same exact thing just now.
The answer is that Kowloon Walled City wasn't part of the rest of Hong Kong, but had its own legal status.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The walled city began as nothing more than a small Chinese military outpost, stationing about 10 guards. It really started to take shape more than a century later.
See, that's some stuff like when you watch Samurai Champloo or something, you start to wonder, like, wow, like, like, can you imagine these little villages or little places like turning into ginormous freaking like towns? You know, like look at Demon Slayer when he walks into, I forgot the name of the city, but like in Demon Slayer, he went from like the rural villages of like, you know, walking by rice paddy fields, you know, stuff like that, to suddenly a dense like city like the you know, it's freaking nice. It's cool.
When the outpost was expanded
Like what a
by the
change in scenery, you
construction
know?
of a larger fort. At the same time, the nearby harbor of Canton began to gain importance. Chinese tea was a hot commodity for British traders, who purchased it in staggering volumes, allowing this region to prosper. However, the trade relationship was notably unbalanced. While the British bought large quantities of tea, the Chinese had little need for goods from Europe. To improve this trade balance, the British began to illegally import opium from India to
Okay. Alright, Britain.
China.
Friggin' bro really just went hard.
This
They said, oh, so we buy all the tea. I guess you're gonna have to buy some of my special ingredients. I got a different kind of tea for you.
scheme proved effective, with the widespread consumption of the drug escalating rapidly. This led to an addiction epidemic, which wreaked havoc on the Chinese economy. Recognizing this crisis, the imperial government took decisive action to halt the opium trade, but this move led to a heated conflict, which
Bro, how is it that Britain is just damn near always in like behind so much like trouble? Like in one way or another, it's like not even the same like people in power.
would later be known as the First Opium War between Great Britain and the Chinese Empire. Britain won the war and subsequently occupied Hong Kong in 1841.
Wait, so let me get this straight. Britain bought tea from China, and then said we're spending too much money on tea, so we're gonna get China addicted on opium. And then after getting them addicted on opium, they went to war with them, and then beat them up and took their land. All right, cool. Great Britain so far, got it. All right,
The
cool.
walled city was not affected, as it was
They wonder why
located
there's so
on
many
an
people
island
celebrating
nearby.
their independence from
And as a
them.
result of this loss, the Chinese Empire decided to reinforce the fort in Kowloon by
Okay.
building large walls around it, giving the area
Attack on
its
Titan
lasting
style?
name, Kowloon
Cool.
Walled City. At the heart of this
Oh.
fortress, they built a yamen, which is the main office from which this outpost is administered. The tensions between China and Britain continued on, ultimately leading to the Second Opium War in 1860. As a result, the
Y'all went to war with them twice?
Kowloon Peninsula too fell into British hands. And the final boundary negotiation took place in 1898, resulting in a 99-year lease of the new territories to Britain. This is, in short, the story of how Hong Kong became a British colony,
Like, wait, is there anyone who's not a colony at some
as
point
it is commonly known.
at all?
But what is often overlooked is that the convention included one specific exception. the Kowloon Walled City, which is located inside the New Territories, a Chinese enclave in the middle of British Hong Kong. As time moved on, both the Chinese and the British administrations showed a lack of interest in the walled city, leaving it to its own fate. The desolate barracks soon became makeshift homes for squatters seeking refuge. And recognizing the need for community structures,
Oh, wow, so it just became a freaking hobo nest.
a Protestant church seized the opportunity to establish a senior home within the historic Yamen. But the peaceful existence of this enclave was shattered in 1937.
Oh, come on! Just as soon as it started sounding like it was gonna be something cool. Something nice and wholesome. Yeah, a bunch of hobos started living there. And then the church was like, we'll start making public housing for all these poor homeless people. And then and immediately said, and now it's time for reality.
When war erupted between Japan and China.
Oh no! Why?
The full-scale invasion initiated by Japan emerged as the central conflict in the Pacific throughout World War II. And by 1942, Japan had taken control of vast swaths of northern China, as well as holding various coastal exclaves, one of them being Hong Kong, which they utilized as a strategic military base. The Japanese expanded the local Kai-Tak airport, and to do so they needed building materials.
Yeah?
Therefore, they tore down the walls of Kowloon Walled City,
That's so interesting.
which was located right near the airport.
So now it's just the de-walled city of Kowloon. That's good. That's
The
so
end of
messed
the
up.
Second World War saw Hong Kong revert to British control. Simultaneously, the newly founded People's Republic of China in 1949 reasserted its right over the Kowloon Walled City. Practically, however, neither the Chinese nor the British took control of this area. And with a massive wave of refugees in the wake of the Chinese Civil War, the need for cheap living space in Hong Kong was immense. And so, in the decades that followed, a maze of buildings grew ever higher and denser.
Basically, the buildings became the walls, dude. That's freaking, like, kind of wicked in a way. It's freaking sick. I like it. I
Single
mean,
houses became multi-story buildings, became 14-story skyscrapers. The sunlit
they just kept adding and adding and adding. And I have to admit, I freaking, like, even though I know it's probably not the safest or the best or the whatever, and somebody's got something to say about it, I freaking love those kinds of environments. Like, when we played Ghostwire, I freaking love all those, like, urban environments like that. They're, like, super densely packed cities.
streets turned into shaded paths until
Multiple,
they were
like, leveled,
eventually completely blocked from sunlight. Within the confines of the walled city, the laws of Hong Kong were not enforced. Any construction within the city proceeded without adhering to any building codes, with one singular exception. Due to the city's close proximity to Kai-Tak Airport, a strict height limit of 14 stories was enforced. Kowloon Walled City was located right along the path into the airport. Landings at Kai-Tak were one of a kind, with pilots navigating through Hong Kong's mountainous terrain, flying remarkably close to the walled city on final approach. The highest priced apartments were those facing the outside,
Makes sense, okay.
followed by those near the internal courtyard. These units offered the precious commodity of sunlight and fresh air. You could add a caged
Yes, yeah. You know, commodities, the things you do, those little details you might want on your apartment.
balcony to your apartment, cleverly expanding your living space. But most of the units were located inside, in extremely unhealthy conditions. This is a plan for a typical building inside the city. With no windows, people here were completely dependent on electric light.
Okay, that can be a huge issue. No windows at all?
There also was no waste management in place, which led to catastrophic air quality. Frequently, rubbish was simply disposed on one of the city's rooftops, or thrown into one of the shafts between buildings. The air is said to have been constantly stuffy and polluted by the many factories that operated inside the city. As for clean water,
So they had full-blown factories inside this place too.
a mere 6 official water stations served the entire city, which means residents often had to carry the water over long distances. In terms of electricity, few actually paid for the service. Instead, most residents opted to illegally tap into external cables, routing them through the city's intricate maze of narrow passageways.
And it's like, dude, you just try to freaking follow those cables to somewhere and figure out who's stealing what.
These harsh living conditions attracted not just those looking for a cheap place to live. The city's ambiguous legal status also attracted those who saw potential for unique business opportunities within its shadowy confines. The walled city became a popular hub for dentists. Many of those had obtained their qualifications in mainland China, but found their licenses unrecognized in British-governed Hong Kong. This rendered them unable to legally practice elsewhere in the city.
Oh,
The absence
okay.
of regulatory oversight also allowed various workshops, such as those specializing in metal fabrication, to flourish within the city. And kitchens were selling popular food items that were outlawed in the rest of Hong Kong, such as dog meat.
What? Y'all were eating dog meat? Why? Poor doggos!
Generally, food production was a common business inside the city, despite the completely unsanitary conditions. It is even said that many of the delicacies processed here over the day ended up on the plates of expensive restaurants across Hong Kong later in the night. While these kinds of businesses within the walled city skirted the edge of legality, others plunged straight into the realms of serious criminal activity. Just because this city is free from the laws of Hong Kong did not mean it was a space without order. Power structures still exist with the triads, notorious criminal gangs.
Oh, great, yeah, that's about that. Okay. Freaking criminal gangs. Wow, alright.
Controlling the city. While businesses did not pay taxes,
This is starting to remind me more and more every single time of like the Mexican super jails. Y'all seen those? They're like literal city, as a literal city that is a jail, like an actual jail.
many of them were forced to pay protection money to these groups. And the triads themselves engaged in illegal businesses, such as soliciting prostitution, opium dens, and in the later years venturing into heroin trafficking. The Hong Kong authorities found themselves in a difficult position, not wanting to let the growing addiction problem get out of hand. A permanent police presence inside the city would be an affront to China, which still claims the territory as its own. Therefore, in the mid-1970s, the authorities decided to carry out many isolated raids, with police officers storming the city for short periods of time, arresting criminals, confiscating drugs, and then leaving.
Yeah, but see, all you're doing is teaching them how to get smarter about hiding things. And in an environment where they pretty much dominate the walls, and in this case, it seems like the city's so densely packed that that's a literal sense of they literally like can be in the walls and stuff. Like that's all you're really doing. Like,
Again.
you know what I'm saying?
In addition, various
Not to be that guy, but most times with situations like this, where huge crime families are like in control of small, organized like locations, it's way too easy to just pay off the police officer, the cops, or something or someone.
private aid organizations established themselves, operating a kindergarten as well as a Christian missionary youth center that offers help with addiction. The historic Yamen in the middle of the city became a popular social spot, hosting public events for the city's residents.
Oh, so they actually started to change it around. Okay.
Even though the situation in the city improved in parts, it was again geopolitical reasons that ultimately ushered in the final chapter of the city. Its legal status was a result of the 99-year lease of the surrounding new territories, and it is precisely that countdown that was coming to an end. In 1984,
In 1987?
after years of negotiations, Great Britain and China agreed on a handover of all of Hong Kong back to China. This handover was scheduled to take place in 1997, but the breakthrough in negotiations also cleared up the dispute regarding Kowloon Walled City. Despite massive resistance from the city's residents, the two governments jointly decided that the social situation, the risk of fire breaking out, as well as the fear of any of the buildings collapsing, would justify the complete evacuation and demolition of the city.
Aww, that sucks. Yeah, because you're never gonna get another unique situation like that. You know what I mean? How's it going, Darth, my dude? Welcome, welcome. We're watching a video on like the densest populated city in history. Well, I don't know about in history, but on Earth.
With the start of the demolition in 1993, Kowloon Walled City came to an end. But as the city fades into memory, two diametrically opposed ideas of its existence emerge. The dystopian image of the city inspired a large number of fictional depictions in film and art, often
Judge Dredd!
showcasing Kowloon Walled City as a futuristic hotbed of crime and corruption. As such, the city inspired tons of dystopian fantasies.
Hey, you see what I mean? I love this kind of style. I don't care.
However, what gets lost here is that this city was also a vibrant, tightly knit community. As chaotic as the city may appear from the outside, there was actually a lot of order. And the notion of complete chaos is simply wrong.
Of course it
You
is.
could send a letter to someone living inside the city, and despite the apparent chaos, it would get delivered just fine.
Of course it was, because it's like you know everyone there. It's like too compact. You know all your neighbors. You know.
People came here with nothing. They then raised children, established businesses, and then had to self-organize those aspects of city life that the lack of government had left out.
That's as American dream as it gets, my dude.
To many, Kowloon Walled City is a symbol of Hong Kong, showing that hardworking people were able to create community even despite harsh conditions. Today, on the side of the walled city, there is a park where remains of the historical city can be found in several places, such as the historic Yamen building still standing, as well as a small model remembering the urban monolith that once stood here. It's easy to vilify, and it's just as easy to romanticize a place like this. Ultimately, the answer might lie somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, in the middle of a wrecking ball. Get this gone. It don't matter if we vilify it or glorify it. It's freaking gone, my dude. It ain't coming back.
A long time, because it's a story that explores the intersections of architecture, history, and culture.
You're not wrong, dude. It is 100%, like, I love stuff like this. I love a lot of cool architecture stuff, and I like seeing just the unique ways that they had to, like, stack these buildings up, basically. It's cool! Like, you know what I mean? I would love to have, even though I'm sure it would have been dangerous for me or whatever, but I would have loved to have walked around the city or whatever and like just taken in the sights, learned about it, you know?
Looking at changes
Experience
of urban
that lifestyle.
places throughout the decades, I think, can be incredibly insightful to understand the world we live in. One of my favorite videos I did that explores exactly these intersections is my video about the construction of the original Twin Towers, in which I explain how these buildings completely changed how skyscrapers are built. This video is part of
I'll be honest with you. I didn't know you had one of those videos. We might be able to check those out later on.
My ongoing video series Underexposure, which also features videos about the raid on Bin Laden's compound in 2011, as well as a video about the Tenerife disaster,
Don't
which
know
was
about
the
that.
worst aviation accident that ever occurred. These are videos
I think we know what we're going to be watching for the next couple of days.
that are not made for the YouTube algorithm. Instead, this series is made for the big screen. A series where I fully, creatively tell stories just how I want to. And the reason
that's
all this
awesome!
is possible is because me and a bunch of creators have gotten together to build our very own streaming site, and it's called Nebula. The idea is simple. Since Nebula is not an ad-driven platform like YouTube, but a subscription model, we get to create higher budget productions. Some of my favorite shows across the board are on Nebula. They're entertaining, but since we mostly are educational creators, there's also just so much to learn at the same time. And I am immensely proud of what my original series has become.
That's freaking sick, dude! I love seeing YouTubers like get I guess achieving their dreams. It's freaking sick.
So go to nebula.tv/neo and make sure you use that link so that you get 40% off on an annual plan. All my exclusive videos are up there, so thanks for the support and thanks so much for watching this video.
Dude, I'm gonna subscribe first of all, like the video. Dude, that was a freaking sick video. That was awesome. I can see why XQC wanted to steal it. I'm joking, XQC. Relax. You're a chill dude. I got no problems with you. But that being said, yeah, no, he full on, like, he full on left for like 10 minutes or something, and then came back and left the video to play that long. Like, he didn't even watch the thing. But yeah, they did great content, great video. I genuinely hope everyone goes to support it. It's freaking sick, my dude. And I hope only the best of luck with the Nebula thing, my dude. That seems freaking awesome. I am lazy when it comes to my long-form content. Even though I am one of the main script writers, along with Degenerate Weeb, we are taking our sweet time getting the script done for Anime Addict, the Red Line review. And I'll be honest with you, we have the review done. It's like there. You know what I mean? We have the actual script done. It's just that it doesn't have that something that makes it something that we made. You know what I mean? Like, we wrote a generic review about the movie, and it just doesn't have, like, yes, what I'm saying is, man, it is a bit difficult. Tomorrow, I could really just say, we're done, Degenerate Wave DW, tomorrow, we're done, the script is done, start filming now, use what we have, and just what we have is what we have, and that's what's gonna be put out, done. But you would just get a generic, maybe 10-minute long review about what I think about Red Line, and I would just be telling you the same things you would hear on, like, I don't know, an Amazon review of the Blu-ray. Or just, maybe I would even, like, go the extra mile, make it super special, really good voice acting, all that stuff. The Degenerate Weeb could frickin', do the whole reading on script with, like, a nice background or something. I don't know. But it just, I don't know, that's not something we want to do. We want to really take our time with it, and, not quite this long for each episode or whatever, but we want to really, like, make sure that the first episode that comes out really sets the standard, basically, for all the episodes that are coming out. Like, this channel, it's like, it didn't matter how I stream, just stream. I just want to start streaming, and whatever. I will learn as I go. But that one, we do kind of want to, like, set it in stone, and just have, so I'm excited for it. But just so you know, we're not going to just put out something that's just going to be, your everyday video. We really want to make it special, give it that flavor. Anyway, now that I'm done with that little rant, my dudes, Neo, again, great video, my dude. Please, thank you. Content like this, especially from passionate people like Neo, like, it really does, like, inspire me to effectively say, you know what? Are you really gonna put it out like this? Like, you can go that extra little step, you can go that. Look at how Neo gave it that game. Look how you gotta put out this. Come on, Come on, you can do a little bit better. You got it. You know, it makes me, it inspires me to just try to beat myself, you know, to do a little bit better than I did yesterday. So I really do appreciate content like this, Neil. Seriously, man, it's freaking sick. Good. Congratulations on all that. Love it. Ayoo, be sure to join the crew. Please like, follow, and subscribe. And hey, if you like that video, you should check out this stuff.